I have yet to meet a Canadian who doesn't have someone special on their mind during Remembrance Day. But who are the soldiers themselves thinking of on November 11th, and how have their thoughts on Remembrance Day changed since they served overseas?
Remembering our veterans, but not only remembering our veterans, remembering our active soldiers and what they've done and what they do every day for our country. You know, I was reading a internet poll the other day about so many Canadians still think of Remembrance Day as being World War I, World War II, Korean War. Boys, a lot has happened in Canada since the Korean War, and sometimes we forget that. And these young soldiers today who are marching out there in that cold weather, we got to remember what they've done as well. You know, we're not just remembering the war dead, we're remembering our soldiers, and regardless of, you know, yes, some of them get killed in battle, some of them come home, and we got to remember both.
For me personally, it helps me to remember my grandfather, my other grandfather, and what my parents went through. I've met a lot of friends here in the Legion, and it's a good time to pass that torch and to remember that we have a new generation of veterans coming out of the war in Afghanistan, and with the other ones from World War II fading out, it's time to pass that torch to be carried to the next generation.
It means a little more, I guess. You know a few of the faces or a few of the names that are being said. You can actually put a face to it, and it's no longer just a name. These guys are just guys that hang around with you every weekend. They're guys that you're drinking with. They're guys that you're partying with. And now they're no longer there, right? I mean, it adds a little something to it. And it also adds that youth dynamic to it as well. It's no longer the World War I, World War II vets. It's no longer your grandfathers and great uncles. It is now your friends and your family, more than actually just the older generation.
It's a time to remember not only the fallen, but also all the ones that serve. We're eventually all going to be veterans. Once we leave the service, and we also have families that stay behind, and those are the ones that don't get as much recognition as they probably should.
How many times do we not? You know, the young kid in school, the 7-year-old in school, who is upset about something, and nobody really realizes why he's upset, only to find out that his father's in Afghanistan. And sometimes we have to thank the families as well, and that's something I'd like to see Canadians change. Thank the soldiers, thank their families too.
The young one needs to remember that I spoke at a school yesterday, and I told them that it makes it very important for them to understand, but there's a message underneath that they consider veterans, but they also think of military as heroes of having done wars, and They have a role to play in our society, and acknowledging the soldiers that have served, making sure that they are behind so that the services can be provided for the soldiers that are serving today, that will be our future veterans, that they get not only the recognition but the proper services. It's important for them to understand, and also that it's not just soldiers who are heroes. People that make a difference in everyone's life every day are also courageous and are heroes.
I think it's almost more important that we remind them about Afghanistan now and remind them about Canada's peacekeeping missions. You know, most of our soldiers are walking around today with either the General Campaign Star or blue ribbons, and blue ribbons mean UN peacekeeping. And that's really, you know, yeah, Canada became a nation in Vimy, but you know, what happened since Korea and the successes in UN peacekeeping, the kids have to know that too.
Well, I think today you had a little taste of what it is, but there's so many other things that are done on a regular basis that can acknowledge the soldiers that serve and their families. I think this is a great community. We have a great relationship with the town of Wainwright, and people are great here. And regularly you'll have people that will meet you on the street and thank you for what you've done or your service. And it's not necessarily only on November 11th. I've had friends of mine who told me that they were quite surprised that coming to Wainwright, they met people at the shopping mall, and they actually were thanked by someone they didn't know for their service, and they even had someone offering to buy them a meal. So it's really nice to be in a small town where people really appreciate who you are and what you do for them.
At first it can be a little uncomfortable, especially when you get home right afterwards. It's just them trying to show their appreciation, but it's strange. You feel a little disconnected at first, and eventually it can at times become annoying. But they just want to show you that they're thankful for your service, and that there's a lot of good in that. To know that they respect you for what you've done, that does make you feel good inside. A little awkward sometimes, but in the end you feel good about it.
It's a job. I mean, we do it overseas or we do it here. I mean, it's just you're helping other people, right? Just as long as people take the time, once a year, this is the time to actually think about it and actually put a little effort into remembering and thanking and being grateful, I guess, for what's going on.
We have so much to be thankful for here at home, and when we return, we'll take a look at the modern vet and how our definition of the word veteran has changed over the years.